very inspiring song by Wendy Shea. It's a very good one. I love it personally. I think I know almost all of it. Yeah, the lyrics in there, I know almost all of it, although I've heard it just about 3 or 4 times, but it's a really good one, Wendy Shea. Now it's time for Good Living segment. Get ready to learn a lot. This entire month is dedicated to autism. It is World Autism Month, and so Good Living segment for the entire month of April. We are going to talk about every single thing you need to know about autism. Last week, we started the conversation, and it was very, very, very educative to have known that there are certain things that you would have to notice when it comes to your child living with autism, certain things that they would communicate when it comes to they not being happy about something that you could trigger happiness or excitement in them. If you missed out, you go to our Facebook page and check it out. But it was very educative. KMJ did that one, very, very educative. But today, we're going to talk about speech therapy, the essence or the importance of speech therapy in the development of a child living with autism. Our therapist is seated and she's ready for this great conversation, and she is in the person of Zharah Ibrahim. She's a speech and language therapist. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
How are you?
Doing well yourself?
I'm doing good. Last week, I did say something to my producer, Brenda. And what I said was that I know I have a relative, a distant relative, that it was up until later that I realized that it looks like it is autism, because growing up, anytime that we would visit them and we are trying to play with him, he would be the only one that can't speak freely. So even when he got a little older and he's saying, let's say, cap, the cap is not coming out properly. Yeah. It comes out differently. But you have to take your time to really try to understand what he's trying to say. Now, I think he's about 30, 31.
Oh, nice.
Yes, 30, 31 years old. And it's improved. Mm-hmm. It's really improved. But I don't know if his parents took him to any speech therapist for his speaking to be developed. But I think that they personally put in a lot of work.
Okay. That's nice.
When it came to helping him to speak better and find himself in a better, easily mix with other people. Now, speech therapy, how would it benefit a child living with autism? Before we get into that, I want you to give us some highlights on speech therapy, then we'll come to the benefits of it for the child.
Okay, thank you very much. So, a speech and language therapist is one who helps persons to communicate or find a functional communication, and then help persons with swallowing conditions. So we do not just help...
With what?
Swallowing conditions.
Swallowing conditions.
Yes.
Okay.
So for some reason you have issues with swallowing fluids, solids, we help persons with such conditions. Okay. So we don't just do communication. Okay. But looking at persons with autism, and one of their very key components in diagnosis is that they have a communication gap. We play a very vital role in their lives. So most of the time, persons living with autism need a speech therapist to be able to find a functional communication. So first of all, we hear communication, and what pops up in people's minds are that talking. Communication goes beyond way beyond talking. Communication could be gestures. Communication you can use non-verbals to communicate. But most of the time we get that speech therapists are going to help my child talk. So just to clear the air, speech therapists help persons to find a good means to communicate.
You don't do the magic.
We don't do the magic. We just help you to communicate. The brain has been designed that you surely find some means to communicate, but it may not be verbal. For some children, unfortunately, you may not talk at all, but you may find some means of communication.
Communication, yeah.
Yes. There was this video I saw some time back about a boy. I think he should be around 18 years, and he's not talking, but his communication is functional. Now, he has a device where it's just letters, the alphabet. And anytime he presses, he just taps on the numbers. It's just a card. But the mom understands everything that he's trying to say with just the letters. And he went to the barbering shop some time ago to just barber his hair. And he was expressing how he felt about the razor blades. And with just that tool, the boy was able to express himself very clearly, and his mom just interpreted to the barber what he was trying to say.
Okay.
He had other means. He could use the tablet to say, and he actually recommended the barber for a very good well done using the tablet to communicate. So a speech therapist helps to communicate and not just to talk.
Okay.
So that is our role in persons with autism.
Okay. And let's come to the benefits. How would it help speech therapy on the whole? How would it help in the child living with autism's development?
So when you look at persons with autism, there are certain levels. We have levels. So the fact that you are diagnosed with autism is like malaria.
Okay.
It's not like malaria and then that's the end. We have levels with persons with autism. We have level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1 is mild, level 2 is moderate, and level 3 is severe. Depending on the severity or the moderation of the child's condition will tell the impact we'll put in there.
Okay.
So persons with level 1 have some means of communication, but their social skill. So social skill goes beyond language, goes beyond words. It's the social rule of language. I'm sitting here, I don't have to open my leg wide.
Yes.
I don't have to be picking my nose.
Yeah.
There are certain rules that govern language, but they are not, we don't use words. And some persons with autism struggle with that. So persons with level 1, you see a lot more of social skills, and sometimes the use of language are not appropriate. For instance, oh, you look big. Oh, you look ugly. They do not. The use of language is not appropriate with people. So the role of the therapist comes in there to tell them, to explain to them, or to find the right words to use in conversation.
Okay, so they don't see how the damage that a certain word could cause.
Exactly.
Oh, so they just say it.
They just say it.
Okay.
Because it's words.
Okay.
In the brain, we have what we call the word bank.
Okay.
Where all your words are stored. I can just pick any word, and it's true. I'm describing you. I'm telling you how I feel about you.
Yeah.
But the social skills comes in where it tells you that no, we don't pick this word. Say it this way.
Okay.
So we don't just teach just in terms of communication, but social skills. How to interact with someone. I don't just have to snatch something from somebody. I need to ask. I need to give eye contact. Typically, if a child needs something, especially when you're eating, they'll come and looking at you. Then you know that this child wants some. But they're not telling you anything.
Yeah.
But a person with autism is likely to either
snatch
it from you, or just look at it. If he doesn't like the smell, kick it away because it's really affecting him. That's a social bit of it. So all that has to be taught, and that is where speech therapist comes in.
Okay. And
some time back, we had a social skill club where we're helping persons know how to manage some of these social rules. Other times, so those are persons with level 1. Level 2s, you see a lot of communication gaps. They are not able to talk, depending on the age that the person was diagnosed. We preach about early intervention. So if the person was diagnosed quite early, then it's a very good prognosis that your child can have some means of good communication, which could be speech. So we do with therapy. Depending on how long you do and how many times you do your therapy, you see good improvements. And again, parents continuing at home, like you said, your cousin did. I mean, your aunties did.
Yeah.
That they actually put in so much work, although there wasn't a therapist. So therapy will actually help persons around with their communication with persons with level 2, level 3, because level 3 is severe. Severe means that their communication is either very low. When you talk about communication, there are certain things we look at. It's not just like I mentioned, the non-verbals. There are certain factors that we look at to tell that this person is on the right path to speech or good communication. So such as turn taken, such as eye contact. The person's not looking at you, he's just looking elsewhere. A fan is spinning, he's so fixated about it. These lights around, the child just can't stand it. It's just too much.
They're unable to focus on one thing at a time.
Exactly.
Okay.
Some can focus on just one thing and then ignore all the others. So like I'm here, it is just the icon on your laptop that he's fixated about, and there's nothing else that interests him over here. So,
You know, this cousin of mine, growing up, he would, when you're speaking with him, he wouldn't even look at your face. He will look away. Until you say his name, then he will look at you and he will turn away.
Exactly. So it tells you how important a speech therapist is important in their lives. Because with communication, without eye contact, you would find it difficult to be able to find the articulators involved in speech production.
Okay.
I always explain to parents that imagine yourself learning a new language, and then I'm covering my mouth and I pronounce a particular word you have no idea about. You pronounce it very differently or have errors in that speech. But the moment I release my hand off my mouth and I pronounce it, you get that right. So it tells you how eye contact is very important in speech development. So if these foundations are missing, you see that this child, like I wanted to talk about your cousin, this child will actually grow, but would find his own means to communicate, which may be just limited to a few people.
Very true.
So if you do not know him, you need an assistance to interpret what he's actually saying to you. But a speech therapist will help you holistically at work, outside of school, outside of home, church, so that you are very functional in the society.
Okay.
And then, should I go somewhere, I know I can type. I work with children who are actually learning to use some devices to communicate with me, because when he talks, it's very difficult to understand what he's saying. So I will type, what do you want? Then he also type and tell me, I want this. And this is helping me to understand what he wants. We sometimes go outside of the therapy room, we go to a supermarket, and then I tell him, go and buy this, whilst I wait outside.
You know, should you force a child struggling with the speech, you know, in particular, would you say you would have to force the child to speak? Like you have to force and push the therapy so that by force the child speaks? Is it possible that you do that?
No.
It's not possible.
No. Why would you force a child? And how would you know that this child wouldn't talk or will talk? And when you force a child, you make the child already communication is difficult for them. People say what we typical people find easy becomes difficult for them.
Okay.
So what we find communication easy and is difficult for them, the more you're pushing them away from that method, because you're finding it extremely difficult too. So if you tell me that I should say water, and I'm nowhere near articulation, I'm just making sounds. You want me to say water, trust you me, the child will rather regress. Will regress because he's finding water difficult. I need water. You're telling me I should say water before I get it. It's going to be difficult unless the child has shown some signs, of which sometimes the moment I see that, this child is able to say it, so let me just push in. But you've seen that, no, this child is not even ready yet, and you are forcing. So what happens is that there'll be a regression. The child wouldn't even want to even do anything at all in your session.
Okay.
So what we do is, instead of saying water, why don't you show me a picture of water? So you take a picture, we call it communication board. So why don't you give me a picture of water? Then I know, oh, you want water? Okay. If someone comes to show you a picture of an iPhone and is looking at you, you try and then understand what the person is trying to say. But if the person just stands in front of you without saying anything, what would you do? You would go beyond even that he's talking about a phone.
Yeah.
You get it? So we don't have to force at all.
Okay.
We just explore what the child can use in their environment to help him or her to communicate.
So if you're helping a child living with autism speak, for instance, communicate, not speak. For instance, the water that you mentioned, it's taken a while for the child to pick that up, but eventually he or she does, should you be quick to teach another word, or you have to wait a little while?
So there's what we call the theory of maturation.
Okay.
The theory of maturation says that everybody has their stage at which every stage of every area of maturity will set in. For some people, they walk early.
Okay.
For some people, they talk early. They develop certain skills early. So should you see a child able to say water, it gives you that green light that the child is ready for more.
Okay.
So that is when you put in more. So if I can say water, then that means I can see a lot of words around the sounds you are making.
Okay.
So an example is a child I was working who was babbling with ba ba ba. And then we began words around ba 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 because those are the sounds that he's finding easy to say. And within that moment, he said ball. And then next time was bye bye. And then next time it was ma, because all those were bilabial sounds, the but sounds that were there. And I added more because it's telling me that I'm ready.
Okay.
So the moment the child shows you a ready sign, why don't you add more? Then that tells you that I'm ready. So I'm going to increase my vocabularies with this particular child.
So you've spoken about 3 different stages: 1, 2, the first one, second one, and the third one. Okay. Is there any other you would want to add in relation to that?
So there are just 3 stages.
There are just 3 stages.
Yes.
Now, are there principles when it comes to speech therapy?
Principles in governing us, or principles
as in like certain guidelines that you as a parent you should be on the lookout for, or you could go by to help your child.
Okay. So in terms of communication with persons with autism, if you just so that parents open their eyes to see that my child's communication is lagging behind. And for that matter, it could be that it's a sign of autism. There are other conditions that affect communication.
Okay.
But since we are talking about autism, it's just, I'm going to limit it to that.
Yeah.
So some could be that the child is past maybe around, let me use 1 year, because from 0 to 1 year, most of the things that they are doing is learning stage. So it's a bit difficult to detect that this child is showing. But let me go beyond 1 year, one and a half.
Yeah.
So you are expecting that your child is looking at you and smiling, giving you that social smile. Like you did, I'll smile back. But this child smiles, he doesn't smile back at you. He's not really interested in persons. He's interested in items, gadgets.
Oh, okay.
So he does not respond to the human voice. He responds to maybe other things. So because of speech, we are looking at the voice.
Yeah.
From birth, the child actually is able to, it's not hearing mother in terms of words, but it's hearing the sounds from mother, from other people. So that's how the child actually is hearing is. So sometimes they say that when the mom talks, people who are pregnant will feel the child kick, because he's actually able to respond to your voice. So when the child grows, it's supposed to respond to human voice. And that's where communication is starting. Or you realize that your child is just there, not really communicating much. I had a parent who said, even crying, the child will hardly do it. And crying is a sign of communication. If your child cries, immediately you attend to the person and figure out what exactly it is.
Yes.
For some children, wouldn't cry at all. They're just sitting down there, and then you're like, why isn't this child crying? It's a sign that the child is not really processing things well. So immediately you need to seek for help. See a speech therapist immediately. So when a child turns 2, their playing skill starts setting in. That they start to play, they look at you, they'll bring the object to you, and then you play with them. Remember that play is part of social skills.
Yeah.
So if the child is not doing that, is so much into the toy, sometimes a child will play by themselves. It's okay. Around that stage, you see a lot of solitary play. But then you need to appreciate the people around you. So I will bring the toy to you. I will do this. I will do that with other people around me. But the child is not doing that at all. At 0, it tells you that you need to really seek for help.
Okay.
So these are a few things that you, as in terms of communication-wise, you really need to look out for in your child.
Okay. Incredible. All right, so viewers, we are talking on speech therapy, the importance of speech therapy. in the development of a child living with autism. And I have seated with me Zharah Ibrahim, who's a speech and language therapist. She shared quite a lot so far. So please, we want you to send in your questions or your contributions to this particular topic. Like I said earlier, the entire month we are dedicating it to autism. So since it's World Autism Month. So we'll be dedicating Good Living segment into delving deeper into helping you at home who could possibly have a child or a relative who is with autism or who has autism. So Zharah, now the role that you as a therapist, let's break it down for moms at home, daddies at home to really understand. Because like I said earlier, I'm not too sure that with my cousin, his parents were able to say that, okay, at this point, I think that we would need somebody called a speech therapist. They try to do it themselves. But even at age 30, he's finding it quite difficult to still communicate. Although some of the family members and all that have gotten quite used to it. So what role exactly do you play in helping to develop a child living with autism?
Okay, so I always tell parents that I'm just a guide. I'm just a guide in terms of your child's communication, and to you as a parent, that should your child have an issue and I am working, so for instance, I am working on the child building his vocabulary.
Okay.
So he has actually shown some signs that he's ready. And then I'm working on building his vocabulary. I see this child once a week. And just in a week, I see him just an hour. And how well do you think if you are going to rely on just me?
You? Yeah.
How fast do you think the process will go?
Yeah.
So my role is just as a guide for parents. Okay, so the child has enough vocabularies. Now parents don't know what next. What do I do next?
Exactly.
So I am there to tell you, okay, now he's able to tell you water, shoe, key, or come. Now, how will I blend these words to form a sentence? Then I'll tell you that, okay, now I see your child, now we are ready to form 2-word sentence. Then I come in, okay, let's do it this way. So as a parent, I would like you to continue. My biggest gap is the continuity of sessions after we leave the room there. So I am actually supposed to just tell you, this is where we are right now in terms of the child's communication. Okay, let's do this. So for parents who do not have any words at all, who is not maintaining eye contact, play more with your child. Let your face be fun. When I say be fun, your child always sees your face. To him, it's boring. So why don't you add some touch-up to your face? Yes, paint your face, stick some things on your face, and be like, today you've changed. And that draws him from the object to your face. Okay. So you practice these things at home. Now your child is really not playing much, or the way the child plays is not appropriate, like throwing things around. So then why don't you model it by you sitting at your corner, building it? If he throws it away, you go and pick it and you are building it. So you are modeling it to him. Trust you me, development is taking place, but it is not instant. So you're fixing the blocks. Although he's throwing it. Exactly.
Pick it up and just put it
Pick it up and you do it. And then be excited about it. You see, gradually he moves from what he's doing to come and pick yours. And then you pull him to you. So you've moved him away from that inappropriate behavior or inappropriate play to coming to you. Some children would not like to share their items at all. So when it is theirs, it is theirs. So what would you do? Why don't you give him something? When he plays with this, he doesn't want to share, fine, but you give him indirectly. You're teaching him that, I have mine, and you're talking through, I have mine, so take it. Okay, do you want more? Take it. So he's playing with a particular toy, let's imagine Lego, and I'm giving him one after the other. I'm actually teaching him how to share. Can I have one? Then wait till he's relaxed. If he doesn't give you, just pick one and say, thank you for sharing. I like the way you share. Not aside he not doing it. Words are powerful. The more you say what you want to see, the more you see it in your child. Thank you for sharing. You're sharing. You're a good sharer. I like the way you're sharing. Then you pick another one. If he does not
literally done
doing it, yes.
Yeah.
So you're just encouraging him that, oh, you're doing this. I thank you for sharing. You've just picked it up. But the moment he just attacks you, oh, sorry, didn't like me to take it. Okay, then take it back.
Okay.
Then you play. Then you share what you already have with him so that he's finding that, oh, like there's 10 taken in there. There's interaction there.
Yeah.
He's seeing your relevance around you. The next time he'll come and pull you that, let's play.
So if you are with a child with autism, you have to do your best to be positive at all times.
Yes. I'm a Sunday school teacher, and I have a Sunday school teacher, and this is what she does when her kids were younger. I learned that from her, and when her son misbehaves, she's pinching him up. Jesus loves you. Jesus. But she's pinching him. But she's not saying she's not rebuking. Fine, it's good that you are rebuking, but then she's doing it out of love so that you don't feel so bad, angry. No, but she's pinching you, but Jesus loves you. So don't do that, okay?
Okay.
And I love that. So be positive about what you say to your child. Parents say that this is hard. I say don't say it's hard. The moment you say it's hard, you put that connection together and it becomes hard. You see things that are hard around you and, oh, this child is just too stubborn. I said, don't use those words.
Zharah, in a situation where you have a child who is quite violent, you did mention throwing of stuff. It could go beyond just throwing of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If you realize maybe the child has catch you with something, or what do you do? How do you handle that?
So this usually I will refer persons like that to behavior therapists.
Oh.
So
okay.
I've had cases of that in sessions where they are throwing chairs, they are throwing even heavy objects at you, and the entire session is just zero. And I have to go back and forth, pretend as if I'm not seeing what he's doing. I'm not seeing what he's doing at all. And it actually was impacting the session. So I had to refer them to a behavior therapist, and behavior therapists will help them to manage their behavior. It could be that there's a sensory issue connected to it, which we do not know.
Okay.
It could be purely that, some will say they are communicating something to you, but they do not have the words to. Some, like you said, it is purely that I want to throw this at you.
Yeah.
So it's the role of a behavior therapist to actually deal with such behaviors. But in the instance where this child is throwing, I'm actually teaching the child a particular skill, which is taking turns or sharing and not necessarily dealing with the behavior.
Okay.
So if the behavior is way beyond, I will refer you to a behavior therapist.
All right. But is there any way that you could get to a point where you could sit down and have a conversation with a child living with autism?
Yes.
You could?
Yes. And there are quite a number of children I have worked with on that level.
Okay.
Yes. So the conversation should just be around their area of interest if you want to go a long way.
Okay.
But if it is way beyond, if it's not in their area of interest, they would give you one or two and then just move away.
Just move away.
Yes.
But it has to be of their interest.
If you want a lengthy conversation, then I would say talk around what they like. So if it is gadgets, if it is a particular video they watch, talk around it. So I had this girl who loved this particular rhyme, nursery rhyme. Jack and Jill went down the hill. So like Jack and Jill. So what happened to Jack and Jill? Then he tells me Jack fell and Jill also followed. And then I was like, okay. Then I was having more of like she's telling me a story, but I'm having a conversation with her. And I was like, okay. So if you fall down, I started relating it to real life situation.
Okay.
So if you fall down, what will you go? What will you do? I'll go to the hospital and the doctor will do this to me, and that builds that conversation. But then if you start with, can we go to the supermarket? Already he doesn't like the supermarket, or she doesn't like the supermarket. Maybe the place is too noisy, it's too big, it's too echoey. So what do I do? He will not even give me. I'll struggle. I'll go back and forth. I'll be prompting him. I'm talking to you, eye contact, and back and forth. And he or she will just walk away.
Very interesting. We are still here with Zharah Ibrahim. We were talking about speech therapy within the development of a child living with autism. We have some messages, so let's read what we have. This one says, God bless you. My name is Emmanuel Ote Agble, and would like to ask whether it's possible for authorities working to educate us on autism to educate most private schools to accept children with autism. Some schools really discriminate, and it's very sad. What can be done about this to stop this? Wow, this is very alarming. We will push this for you. We'll get into this for you. Okay, so thank you for the good work. I usually get angry with him. I thought he is being lazy with his speech, but today I have learned a lot. Oh, that's really sweet. Good. Oh, you've deleted the message, eh? You shouldn't have deleted the message, please. Okay, so you are typing. So hurry up with the typing. I really want to read exactly what you put out there. You are typing currently, so please be quick about it.
So
okay, so conversation. Yeah, you want to
one
address?
of the viewers mentioned spoke about education.
Yes.
So I'm from Mission Pediatrics, and what we do is we have a team that do more of like outreach. So
you go to schools
to educate them, just give us a call. It's free. So we just give you outline certain things you should look out for. If you even have such children, we do an assessment, a very quick assessment, and just more of like a screening, not an assessment, a screening to tell, okay, I think this child could be, or this child is not. This child may need this other services. Okay. And yeah, there's something like that ongoing. But just like you mentioned, we need more. We need more. Because the discrimination is bad. Yeah. When I go to schools and some of the things that are being done with these children, especially the preschoolers. I had one that the way they were handling him, he was actually being tied on the chair because...
Who are his mates?
The school. Or the school. The teachers couldn't handle the running around because he was just distracting the class, so they'll tie him on the chair so that he doesn't move. And they can tie him on the chair. That's where he'll sit. He's in diaper, so he doesn't move to pee. That's where he'll sit. That's where he'll sleep. That's where he'll do his work till he needs to. So you can imagine what's happening to his muscles. He's not doing much because the moment he gets up, he'll distract the class. And it's not one. This is not the first story I've heard. There are quite a number of things like that happening in the schools. Just because they are ignorant about this.
Yeah. We will push this. We do very good here on Prime, on Joy Prime. Yeah, we are very good at it. We are currently pushing a campaign, Light Up Ghana
In
campaign.
fact, we need to push.
Yes, yeah. So we'll really push this. Zharah Ibrahim, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
We are still in World Autism Month. So next week, Tuesday, we'll... continue the conversation on autism. There's so much aspects of it that we need to tackle and really deal with it. So Zharah, thank you once more for your time. This is where we end today. Good living segment. My name is Asieduwaa Akumia. Coming up next, KMJ will be seated with photocopy. He has something very interesting for you. And so stay tuned. We'll be right back.